Hello and welcome back, Steuben here, and today we're going to take a look at Miraidon EX. Before we do though, thank you all for the support on the most recent videos. I've been blown away by the amount of views that those are getting, which is a little bit more than we normally do, so thank you for checking those out and taking the time to come back and check this out as well. We did a vlog for Fort Wayne Regionals, and if you missed that, I'll have it linked up in the iCard, so go check that out. It was a lot of fun. I've never vlogged before, so it's a little bit awkward at times, and I was very exhausted that weekend due to some, just mental and physical health issues in general. But for the most part, I had a lot of fun at Fort Wayne, and I'm glad to be back on this normal-ish schedule. But yeah, today we're going to take a look at Miraidon EX. So we'll just dive right in. We are playing 3 copies of this. 220 HP Lightning type, the ability Tandem Unit. Once during your turn, you may search your deck for up to 2 basic Lightning Pokemon and put them on your bench, then shuffle your deck. You have the attack Photon Blaster for 2 Lightning and a colorless to do 220 damage. Weak to fighting, and you have a 1 retreat. So pretty solid. This is the starter that you want to get out and pump it up in general, so you can start grabbing Pokemon with Tandem Unit. And primarily, most decks you'll see a 3-3 or a 4-4 line of Regieleki V and VMAX. We will start with the V, 200 HP, 1 retreat. The attack Switching Bolt for 1 lightning. Does 30 damage, and you switch this with one of your bench Pokemon. Some people are playing Klefki in here to be able to Switching Bolt into Klefki to stop your opponents from using their basic Pokemon's abilities. I'm not playing Klefki, but that is an option you could put into this list if you really, really like to. And then you have Lightning Wall for 1 lightning and 2 colors. 100 damage. During your opponent's next turn, this Pokemon takes 100 less. And you can also ramp up that Lightning Wall and your Photon Blast with Regieleki VMAX's ability Transistor. Your basic Lightning type Pokemon attacks do 30 more damage to the defending Pokemon. 310 HP on this VMAX, free retreat, and you have max Thunder and Lightning for 220 for 1 lightning and 2 colorless, and it can't attack during the next turn. But it's got free retreat, which is pretty cracked in general. So you definitely want to Tandem Unit down some Regielekis and then evolve them in the VMAXs so you can start doing more damage with your Miraidons or more damage with your Raikou V. The ability Fleet-Footed, when it's in the active spot, you get the draw card, which is always really nice. And then Lightning Rondo does 20 plus, 20 more for every bench Pokemon, yours and your opponent's, for just 2 energy. Pretty solid card. Of course, you have 1 retreat on this thing, so pretty frail in general, but really good attacker, especially when most decks now are trying to establish a large bench. If you look at Gardevoir's establishing a large bench, and Teleon, Urshifu establishing large bench. Lost Box has to bench hard, so a lot of decks are setting up big benches. And then we've rocking out with a 2-1 line of Magnezone V-Star in here. Start with the V, 210 HP. You have Magnetic Tension for a lightning and a color. Switch one of your opponent's bench Pokemon with their active. It does 40 to the new Pokemon. Haven't really done it too often. And then you have Splitting Beam for 90. It does 30 damage to 2 of your opponent's bench Pokemon. So you hit 90 on the active and 30 on 2. It helps you set up later knockouts. And of course, Splitting Beam can be increased by Transistor from the Regieleki VMAX. And then you have 1 copy of Magnezone V-Star for a V-Star attack in case you can't quite use Forest Seal Stone or don't need to. Or in some matchups, this is actually better, where they don't expect it. But this thing has 270 HP and has 2 attacks. Magnetic Grip for a lightning and 2 colors is 180. And then search your deck for 2 item cards and put them in your hand. So this helps you ramp up more energy and play with the electric generators, which we'll cover shortly. And then you Electro Star is the V-Star power for 2 lightning. It does 90 damage to 2 of your opponent's bench Pokemon, so you can just snipe 90s. So if you've dealt with a Manaphy already, then you can Electro Star and knock that out. And then last Pokemon on the list is a copy of Drapion V. Of course, you got a Bully Mew, and surprisingly, this is a good early game attacker in the Inteleon matchup, just because they're going to play all these Rapid Strike Pokemon down between that and the Urshifu and the Octillery. So you can actually attack with this against that. Pretty straightforward and pretty easy. And it's also surprisingly good in the Lugia matchup too, since they're going to play Single Strike, Tyranitar, Yveltal, and Stonjourner. It reduces the cost of Drapion pretty drastically there. So that's the Pokemon for this lineup. Let's move into the supporters. Of course, we've got 4 copies of Research for your discard and draw. We've got 2 copies of Boss's Orders for gusting. Pretty straightforward on those. We then have 2 copies of Judge for hand disruption for both you and your opponent. Shuffle, draw 4. Really good in general. And the only other new supporter in here is the Arven. We're playing 2 copies. Search your deck for an item and a tool card. Reveal them, then put them in your hand, then shuffle your deck. So when it comes to the items and tools, so items are technically the same as always. But we do have that new classification on tool cards, which we'll cover when we get to those. But let's move on. Before we get to the ball search, we have to talk about Electric Generator. This thing is insane. Playing 4 copies of this. Look at the top 5 cards of your deck and attach up the 2 basic lighting energy cards you find there to your bench Pokemon in any way you like. You can't attach it to Drapion. It's got to be a lightning type, so the rest of the deck is perfectly fine. And it doesn't have to be a basic. It can be an evolution, unlike Max Elixir from back in the day. So being able to get 2 free energy every turn with a generator is insane. So usually you can grab this with Arven as your item, which you normally want to do unless you're trying to set up with something like your 3 copies of your Nest Ball or 3 copies of your Ultra Ball to find your evolutions. So we're just playing a 3/3 line on that. We really don't need too many ball search cards because we have Tandem Unit to grab all of our Pokemon down. Continuing on with items, we have 2 copies of Pokegear to help find our supporters. Look at the top 7, find a supporter, and put it into our hand, shuffle the rest back in. We have 1 single copy of Energy Recycler for late game generator usage. That way, we never quite run out of energy cards in general. And then in terms of the last couple items, we have 2 copies of Escape Rope. Because of most of these having a single retreat cost or a free retreat cost on Regieleki, it's really nice to be able to rope and pivot around that way. So feels pretty good. And then now in terms of tool cards, now they're all going to say item because they're all old. But again, the new rules with Scarlet and Violet is tool cards are no longer item cards, they are just tool cards. So if you played Mysterious Tail Mew, you can no longer grab these for that slot. You can no longer grab cards like this with Irida if you played that in your deck. So keep that in mind. Arven is really good in that case to help you find your 4 Sealstone for your V-Star power to search your deck for any card you might necessarily want. We have a single copy of Choice Belt to increase damage into Pokemon V, V-Star, and V-Max. And then to keep energy on board, we have 2 copies of Experience Share. When your active is knocked out, you can move an energy from it to one of your benched Pokemon that has this attached to it. So again, keeping the energy in play. And then the last couple bits of trainers, we're playing 3 copies of Beach Court. The retreat cost of each basic Pokemon in play, yours and your opponent's, is 1 less. So Miraidon can retreat for free, Regieleki V can retreat for free, Raikou can retreat for free, but Magnezone, V-Star, and Drapion still struggle in those regards, but Beach Court is super solid for your movement in general. And then last but not least, we are playing a whopping 13 copies of basic lighting energy. I don't have 13 of these, so we had to flex in 4 of the new secret rare that I've been slowly picking up from trades. We've got 4 of the old secret rare from Evolving Skies, and 5 copies of the Play promo Heart Gold, Soul Silver Energies. Let me know in the comments which one of the 3 you like the best. I have 9 of the Ampharos ones, which I thought I had more, but I don't. But this is the basic list. Let me know what you think down below. And of course, I want to cover some options as well. So when it comes to this, and so you necessarily like the Magnezone, you don't like the count of the Raikou, you have room for things like a 1/1 line of Mareep and Flaffy, so you can use Dynamotor to attach energy from the discard pile to your bench Pokemon. Even have tested out, and I kind of like it too, a 1/1 line of Flying Pikachu VMAX. This helps up your Lost Box matchup and a few other matchups. Feels really solid, especially against the new Lugia with all the attackers. They're all going to be basics. So the only thing that can really threaten the Flying Pikachu VMAX is Lugia, and you can pretty much just deal with the Lugia faster with everything else. Other options in terms of the Pikachu friends, we have the Raichu V you could play for Dynamic Spark, discard a bunch of energy, do 60 for each one. Even more if you have Regieleki V Maxes, feels pretty solid. I've also seen Luxray V in there for it's both attacks. You have Fang Snipe for 2 colorless. It does 30 damage. Your opponent reveals their hand. Discard a trainer card you find there. Again, you can ramp that up for more damage with Regieleki V Max. And then you have Radiating Pulse for 2 lightning and a colorless. It does 120. Discard 2 energy from this, and you can paralyze your opponent's active Pokemon. So it feels pretty good in some situations. And then last but not least, a single copy of Rotom V for its instant charge ability for your turn 1. So you can, Miraidon it out with Tandem Unit and slap it on the bench. And then, all right, cool, I'm done doing everything I can do. Let's draw an extra 3 cards with Rotom and end our turn that way. So yeah, you have a lot of flex options in terms of like cutting out, I would say, at least these 4. So if you didn't quite like the Magnezone V and V-Star, you can swap these 4 out for the 1-1 Flaffy, the 1-1 Flying Pikachu. That feels really cool. If you want to keep one of these in, you can change this out for Rotom and Raichu. Those have felt like super solid options so far, but keep that in mind. You have tons of options, and there's probably even more out there that like I just haven't thought of or haven't seen on my own. But that's the list. These are the flex options that you can consider for this. Let me know what you think down below in the comments. And of course, if you made it this far, like, comment, and subscribe. It means so much. It supports the channel. It's super fast. It's super free. You really don't have to do too much. And if you want to go even above and beyond, you can become a member to support the channel financially. That's also super grateful to everyone who does that. You get your name on the end card at the very end, and a secret hidden section in the Discord server as well. But that's it. If you're going to EUIC and you're watching this, hey, thank you, I guess. Good luck out there. Knock them dead. Get some dubs, get some championship points. And yeah, that's it. I'll see y'all whenever I see you next. Follow me over on Twitch for some live streams this week. And then, yeah, take it easy. Good luck out there.